Hi, everybody. How is everybody doing today? Thank you for joining us today. I see Andrew's here already. Hi, Andrew, Plant Jamaica. Glad that you're here. Um, Welcome to another episode of Green Your Biz. Thank you all for being here. I am Shelly Ann, founder of Live Echo. And again, welcome and thanks for joining us for the second episode of Green Your Biz. We're going to wait just a little until a few more people join us. I see the numbers going up. I see the numbers going up. So far, so good. How is everybody doing today? Hi, Natasha. All right. As we wait for our numbers to jump up, I am actually going to take this moment to introduce you all to Live Echo and Green Your Biz. So, for those who aren't familiar, Live Echo, where ECCO stands for Environmentally Conscious Consumer Operations, is an online resource and consumer guide for living green. Aside from our website, projects, and social media presence, we host a fortnightly chat where we discuss topics focused on increasing consumer awareness around environmental issues and how we impact the environment. We have looked at quite a few areas. Climate change, what is it exactly? A lot of persons hear the phrase and they're not familiar with what exactly it means and how we impact climate change as humans. Or daily activities, how does that impact climate change? We've also looked at food security and sustainable agriculture. We actually had that conversation with Andrew from Plant Jamaica. And we also looked at energy conservation and water conservation. Those two were actually hot topics because everybody wants to save their water and light bills, and I don't wrong them. So we make going green easy for you or consumers. Green Your Biz, however, is the boutique consultancy arm of Live Echo. We help businesses implement corporate social responsibility, CSR, and sustainability into the DNA of their organizations. So you're going to be hearing this term quite often today, CSR or corporate social responsibility. That is what we're going to be talking about today. Additionally, Live Echo and Green Your Biz, you can find information on both of those on our website. You can also sign up for our newsletter. Go to our website, you can sign up. And we host Green Your Biz once a month. It is the last Wednesday of every month. So you can join us every last Wednesday on YouTube. You have to sign up for the newsletter because you'll definitely be getting more information. So following the show, we do recaps and we send tips and information for businesses to help them implement business strategies, sustainable business strategies. All right, so let us jump right in. But before I invite my guest on the show, I wanted us to define corporate social responsibility and what exactly does that mean. So in my research, I looked around and I was like, all right, let me find something pretty simple. So from Investopedia, they define CSR or corporate social responsibility, and I'll just give you an excerpt. It is defined as a business model that helps a company be socially accountable to itself, its stakeholders, and the public. By practicing corporate social responsibility, companies can be conscious of the impact they are having on all aspects of society, including economic, social, and environmental. To engage in CSR means that in the ordinary course of business, a company is operating in ways that enhance society and the environment instead of contributing negatively to them. Now, can you name a few companies that have ongoing CSR programs? You can just drop your response in the comment section and let us know what companies you know of that actually have CSR programs. And have any responses to that? Well, I mean, we know Grace Kennedy has a CSR program, so you can't answer with that one. All All right. So given this definition, I'll wait on you to give your responses. Given this definition of CSR in the companies that you actually are thinking of, do you think that affects how you purchase? Does knowing that a company has a good CSR or strong CSR within their company structure, does that impact how you purchase? That is something that we'll be talking about today. All right, we have some comments. Ooh, Ashley, Jamaica Energy Partners, that's a good one. All right. So knowing that these companies have CSR programs, are you more inclined to support them? Should you be, supporting them more versus the other companies that do not have CSR programs? Tonight, we aim to highlight not just the great work of Grace Kennedy Foundation, but also the importance of corporate social responsibility in all companies, large and small. By the end of this episode, I hope you will understand just how impactful CSR initiatives can be in a company's culture, its core business, to nation building, and the preservation of our environment. Remember, feel free to share your thoughts and questions. We will try to answer as many as possible. Tonight, we will be speaking with CEO of Grace Kennedy Foundation, Mrs. Caroline Mahfood, about the role of corporate social responsibility and what it plays within the organization, the role it plays in the organization. For those who do not know, Grace Kennedy is one of the largest group of companies in Jamaica with offices across the world. They have businesses in food and financial industries, and I'm sure much more. They're a huge company doing great things. Let's now talk with Caroline about how Grace Kennedy Foundation has been impacting lives of generations. Caroline,
Hi.
There we go. Hi, Caroline. How are you?
Hi, how are you doing? I'm good. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for being here.
It's great to be here. And I'm very excited to hear that Andrew from Plant Jamaica was interviewed before, because Andrew was my neighbor. So yeah. Big up to Andrew.
Yeah, man. I was actually just talking to him on WhatsApp earlier, and he's excited about this show. He set his reminder. So that is really good to hear. And Andrew is really a strong supporter. All right. So Caroline, first I want to congratulate you on another lecture series. Congrats. It was actually quite a success. I was able to patch in for, I believe, a little over an hour.
Great.
This, I believe, is the 32nd lecture. Is that correct?
Yes.
That's a long time.
It's older than me. Yeah.
Older than the both of us. All right. So, I mean, we're going to talk more about the lecture later on, but can you let persons know, for those who did not watch it, will it be available online for them to watch?
Yes. So the lecture was actually focused on the SDGs, and it was streamed live. The webinar was streamed live to YouTube, to Grace Kennedy's YouTube page. So it's available there right now. Anybody can watch it.
All right, so head on over to Grace Kennedy after this. All right, so please tell us a little bit about yourself and the work that you do at Grace Kennedy Foundation.
Sure. So I have been with the foundation for 12 years. Grace Kennedy is a very unique company because we actually have two foundations. We have the Grace and Staff Foundation, which is like a community foundation, and then a corporate foundation, which I lead. The foundation is 38 years old, and we focus really on three main areas, three pillars. Education, primarily looking at tertiary education, the environment, and healthy lifestyles. So that's what we're about.
All right. I mean, environment for me, that is my thing. I'm passionate about that. So that I will commend you. All right. So those are the pillars. So personally, CSR and sustainability are my areas of extreme passion. Yeah, that's what I'm passionate about, especially, environmental awareness, recycling. That's huge for me. So with these pillars, do you have a favorite? Is there any project that you've done that's like a personal favorite?
I'm torn, because anything to do with the environment is really, really important to me too. And I'm very excited about what we've been able to do with the staff at Grace Kennedy, because we have a really robust plastic bottle collection program across all of Kingston, of all of our offices across Kingston. We are the largest corporate collector for the coastal cleanup every year, because that's like a major passion for us. Like, we don't even play around with it. So we're serious about that work. But what we've done in the last year is we established 2 food banks, you call them pantries at UE and UTech, specifically to support university students who are facing hunger and food insecurity. And I'm very, very excited about the impact of that program as well. Yeah, so.
Okay, I am actually looking forward to that. The UE students, I mean, or all of our tertiary students, I believe, let me not say tertiary, all the youngsters, the youth, there's such a drive and a passion, not just for environment, but just for doing different and being better. I have actually seen it and in communicating with them. So kudos to you for doing that. Through the work that I've actually done, we can tell that staff members get very involved, and it drives them to be more committed to the business as well. That is also something that is very integral in any organization, because you want your staff to be committed, and some of these initiatives help them to believe in the entity a bit more. Do you see that driving force in the Grace Kennedy family?
Definitely, 100%. So from the Grayson staff perspective, they run homework centers across Kingston and in Spanish Town, and even outside of Kingston. And we have staff members who volunteer to teach students and use their skills in that way. So they're definitely involved that way. And they also contribute to supporting the foundation. For the Grace Kennedy Foundation, we have what's cool is that we actually have environmental ambassadors in the various companies who are trying to encourage staff to bring their plastic to work, to get involved in the beach cleanups and things like that. Because we do a lot of, no matter what day it is, if it's, World Mangrove Day or whatever, we're sending out messages to the staff to let them know and to get involved. And the staff members were actually very disappointed when we postponed. I'm not canceling the beach cleanup. When we postponed beach cleanup because of the increase in COVID, because they really want to be involved all the time. So I think the culture is good.
Yeah, that's beautiful to hear. And I think a lot more companies, we'll talk more about it, but a lot more companies need to realize that the commitment from staff isn't just, work. It's not just work every day. There has to be a level of give back and, getting them involved in different things that they're also passionate about.
Yeah, and I mean, what studies show now, especially when your staff, an old fogey like me might just stick it out, right? Because people my age just kind of stay in the job till they retire, but younger people do not do that. If you don't have a way of really making them be proud of the company they work for and getting involved in initiatives, they'll move on, they'll leave. And data shows that. It's not just about salaries, it's about the culture and being able to give back, and you have a company that you feel proud of and that's supporting the communities that where they're located. So the community involvement is also very important. All right, so let's talk about the board, and senior management. How involved are they and how committed are they to corporate social responsibility? Well, I think they're very committed. Just from the top down, from Mr. Webby coming right down. I'll give you an example. Both Tankita, who runs the Grayson Staff Foundation, and myself, we both report directly to Mr. Webby. That's how important he views the foundations. Yeah. In addition to that, we have been integrally involved in the development of Grace Kennedy's CSR policy, which they have now. We're going to, and so, so management definitely sees how critical a role we play. I think in the past, what happened was they were really happy that the foundations, we were doing good things. We've always done good things, right? Yeah. But, and you're kind of on the side doing that. But I think more and more the company sees that we are a strategic partner, and that our work, even though it's more difficult to measure, plays a very, very big role in the company making profit. Yeah. So I do think that and so another example is every year when the senior management meets for their exec retreat for strategy planning, both foundations present at that retreat. again, because they think that we play an important role in the overall strategy of the company.
Great. All right. I love that. I mean, presenting to the board, it's not just saying, well, it's a line item. You know, it's something that they're all involved in. So that is beautiful to hear. Kudos to Grace Kennedy for that. Some people think of foundations and CSR as like feel good initiatives for the company, maybe even a tax break. What do you think is the role of corporate social responsibility for the companies, Grace Kennedy companies, because there's so many of them?
Right. Well, I think one of the things is that people also view CSR as only philanthropy. And CSR is much, much bigger than philanthropy. I mean, that's what gets highlighted a lot of the time. But good labor practices is important. And I think Grace Kennedy leads the way in that. I just think that's just the standard culturally. I think, one of the things that I realize is that even though many companies may not be officially measuring their CSR, they are doing it in many, many ways. And I think that applies to Grace Kennedy. So our labor practices are strong. Our environmental practices are strong. We're very conscious of how our factories perform and not polluting the waterways and things like that. In many areas we're very So in many areas we're very conscious of our role, not just to make profit, but to be a good corporate citizen in every area and in every aspect.
Yeah, that's beautiful to hear. I don't know if it's just me, but I am very passionate about everything that you just said, because it all ties in, and I think consumers need to also realize the purchasing power that they have, by selecting and choosing who to purchase from. I believe Andrew made a comment earlier. Andrew, where's your comment? I'm not interested in supporting some companies if they are huge polluters, even if they give back, it's not enough. It's really information that needs to get to the consumer, but also in promoting your CSR, and the initiatives that you have. That's also something that companies need to be doing. Some companies might say, oh, they don't want to promote it because they don't want to seem as if, they're doing it just for whatever reason. But it's something that I know, me personally, as a consumer, I want to know that this entity is giving back to the community that they're operating in. And obviously they're not polluting. To me, environmental pollution is a huge deal.
I think a good example is, for example, our Grace Canning is located in Majestic Gardens, and it's a pretty volatile community. And since they've been there, they've been investing in that community. They have really consciously made a decision. I think Grace Canning gives $250,000 a quarter specifically, even though Grace Kennedy is supporting a homework center there. Canning specifically gives back that way. And we've seen students a lot of students couldn't make it through, barely make it to high school, and they're now in university performing well. So I think that's the kind of, and then the other thing about Grace Kennedy is, you're right, many companies like Grace Kennedy do not want to toot their horn. It's just, it's a culture for us. That We Care philosophy was there long before any promo of CSR. It was just there. But I think what we need to do as a company now is get to the point now where we're actually reporting annually on our CSR, actually creating a CSR report to measure the impact that we're having.
Yeah, that's actually something that I believe most corporations are actually trying to get towards, because it's very hard to measure. You give somebody a scholarship and you hope that they complete university or whatever it is, their education. But do they have other obstacles, and then after that, is there a trickle effect? Are they giving back as well? But there are a lot of things that are coming up as it relates to reporting of CSR. So I look forward to that. I like to support companies, as I mentioned before, that give back in various ways, nation building, environmental activism, especially. Do you believe having GK Foundation, has that influenced consumers' support of the entity?
I really hope so. I really hope so, because I think we have really, and again, I always say both foundations have really had a serious impact on families. So, I mean, like every year we give about 90 scholarships to university students. We spend about 20 million a year on scholarships. And I don't just give scholarships and say, hi, here, take the money and bye-bye. We are in touch with them. We have an active WhatsApp group. I know their lives. I mean, right now I'm dealing with a student who needs additional money because he barely has been able to survive, through school. And you know what I mean? So we are integrally involved in their lives and wanting to help them. And I think that family atmosphere will carry on. So I assume when these students graduate, their families are loyal to Grace Kennedy. They are loyal to Grace Kennedy. One of the things we do now on our scholarship program is that all scholars have to have a First Global Bank account because that's how they get their scholarship money, right? In addition to that, they are now required to do volunteer hours because I want the students to, and I want it to be meaningful hours too, not just where you tick off the box to get a friend to sign that you did hours.
Yeah.
But where they're really giving back in a meaningful way. So like volunteering at our food bank, supporting entities, NGOs, and right now because of COVID, one of the things we've talked to them about is doing virtual extra lessons with high school students, because these are the top students in university where our scholarships are merit-based, not need-based, even though most of the students on the program have a great need. And, just figuring out how they can give back, because I want them to graduate with that kind of character where they're conscious about the society and not just ambition and getting ahead in life.
That is beautiful. That's beautiful, Caroline. I love to hear that. Do you actually have staff members, commit to a certain amount of hours as well? That was actually something that popped into my brain some time ago. I was just like, I know they do it in high schools, so why not have that transition? When I went to high school, just a couple of years ago, not too long, it was not a thing. Community service was not a thing. So the generations know they are getting into the belief that you have to be able to give back, and it's being instilled in them from very young. So does Grace have that within its policies?
No, we've thought about it, making it part of your objectives, and you're right. But at this point, it's not there. It's not something that's implemented. I think one of the things that they've done, though, is as people move up the ladder, and we have all of these training programs, supervisory development program. They have a program called the Diamonds program, where you're moving up to become middle management, senior management. They also have a component where they have to do volunteer hours and give back. So that's one way that it's implemented, but it's not mandated across the board for staff members.
Okay. All right. Let's see if we have any comments that we can address. Ashley mentioned responsible raw materials sourcing, disposal of waste, and community building are very important. I completely agree, Ashley. I'm sure Caroline agrees.
Yeah. In fact, I mean, because we are a global company, a global food company, we have to be very careful where we're getting our coconut water from. Are we, there's not making sure we're not exploiting children, and there's no child labor, and that kind of thing. So definitely as a global company, it's critical that we know where all our sources, where are we getting the raw materials from? Hopefully you're not cutting down trees in Brazil to do it, that kind of thing. You know what I mean? So
that is really important. Yeah,
very important.
I mean, the radar needs to be out there as it relates to this conversation and companies in Jamaica. You're a global company, so this. But locally, that is something that we need to think about. We can't just, be emptying out our rivers of the silt that is in there, so that we're going to be building somewhere else. We really can't do that. I believe it was last week or maybe 2 weeks ago, there was a picture online showing trucks in the river, digging up the soil. And I was just like, come on, guys. So that's something that we really need to be conscious of in terms of, how we impact the environment.
Right. So just to add, one of the things, last year's Grace Kennedy lecture actually focused on the Kingston Harbor. And I don't know if you know this, but we actually fund a chair in environmental management. And we have done so for over 25 years. And that's held by Professor Mona Weber, who is one of the leading experts for the Kingston Harbor. And so we partnered with her, with MGI and another company called Newer Worlds, and we went after funding. So we are implementing, as of now, we're implementing a 3-year pilot project where we're going to be trying to reduce the waste going into Barnes Gully, which is a gully leading right by South Camp Road, right there.
Yeah.
So we're really going to be working there. Mona Weber is going to be focused on the mangroves and how to restore the mangroves around the harbor, because with hurricanes, if we don't have those mangroves, we're really vulnerable. And this is a good way of getting the private sector involved. A lot of times it's left to NGOs to really go after, and community-based organizations go after these kind of initiatives, but we have gotten involved, and we have also been working with Ocean Cleanup. They're bringing an interceptor to Jamaica. That would be in Huntsville, and we have been working closely with them on that initiative as well. So we're really trying to be active. The other thing we're doing actually too, right by that gully at the corner of South Camp Road, is we're going to be putting up a mural, and we're partnering with ICD on it, and it will be focused on not polluting the gullies, thinking about the environment. So we're really excited about it, but I think more and more corporate entities have to get involved in environmental issues and speak out more and stand up for things like that, because it's our future, our kids' future.
Yeah. We actually have Jamaica Energy Partners, GMMB, who else? Natasha mentioned GMMB as well. Andrew Plant, Pandam CB Facey.
They do a lot of environmental work.
Yeah. I know Cinco, dear to my so those are some of the companies that they mentioned as it relates to corporate social responsibility. Those entities actually have programs. So this is great.
Who's really good? National Bakery. National Bakery, all of their trucks. Do you see all the messaging they do on their trucks to support?
And Jamaica, love it.
Oh yeah, and even with the COVID, the PSOJ relief fund, National gave like $50 million worth of products. All the companies, all the food companies gave, but they are to me a really good example of CSR too.
Yeah, beautiful. Love it. These type of conversations, you learn these things. Go buy your national bread, guys.
Yeah.
All right. We kind of answered this question. I'm going to ask it anyway.
Sorry.
Should more companies start foundations or include CSR initiatives as part of their core business strategy?
Definitely. 100%. Yes, I think so. I think, check. I think establishing a foundation can be a bit onerous on a small company, but they still can do CSR activities.
Oh, yeah.
And they can partner with other companies to do CSR activities. So you can forge partnerships, which is SDG 17, by the way. But you can forge partnerships, where you have a scale. So another good example is T-Tech Limited just sent me an email yesterday. They're working with, I wish I remember the name of the organization, but they're working with some communities downtown where they're really going to make sure that the schools they're doing like pods for kids to be able to, small groups to be taught, and they're providing the Wi-Fi access. And they said, could we partner with Grace Foods and give them refreshments over there? And that they're a small company, but they're using their skill to reach out and give back, and then they're partnering with other companies to be able to achieve that. So, that's a good way to go for it. But definitely, it is an important strategy for businesses.
Yeah. And like you said, in terms of small businesses, it doesn't have to be a separate department or an actual foundation. Right. It's really just to get your staff involved, and especially if you're in a community, what can you do in the surrounding community?
Right.
Can you place recycle bins or just trash bins, or waste management practices alone are not good. So that is something that we can also try and teach others. So for me, start small, start where you are, do what you can. That's really what it is. I see Pastor Chris here in the group. Hi, Pastor Chris. All right. Do you think having the GK Foundation detracted You know, some people actually believe foundations detract from the core business. What do you
From the
think on
what?
that?
From the what?
Does the foundation detract from the core business? Some people actually
Oh.
think that, getting staff involved in all of these activities, them not doing them work, them just very involved in everything else but sitting at them desk.
I actually, well, I mean, I can't answer that before. I actually think it's the opposite.
Yeah.
Because when the staff, just in general, once you're giving back to anything, you feel good about yourself. Whether it's feeding somebody who's hungry, whether it's providing books to a student who needs support, whatever it is, whatever way that you give back, you feel good about yourself. And that's just human nature. So I think having your staff members get involved and in CSR is an important thing to do to make them feel happy on the job. I think the challenge is that people, like if you work at Grace Kennedy, the work don't done, the work continues all the time. I mean, I've worked harder during COVID than I did probably before, longer hours. And the temptation is, gosh, if I go and volunteer, and my desk is just going to get piled up even more, right? Mm-hmm. But it is worth making the sacrifice and going and doing it. And so, for example, every Christmas we give out about 750 packages to the elderly in communities all across Kingston and Spanish Town. We encourage staff to come out and do that, and they have a wonderful time when they do it. We sing carols. So it makes you feel better about you when you do it.
Yeah. And it's awareness as well. Some people might not have known the situation that somebody else is living in. I've experienced this when I was with Wisynco and we would do our beach cleanups. A lot of persons, it was their first cleanup. When they saw the tires and the toilets and the this and the that, they're just like, why is all of this here? It's like, hey.
Right. Well, another example is even with the food bank. You can't have many volunteers at the pantry because of COVID, but we have many persons across the group volunteering behind the scenes with helping us to figure out how to do cause marketing, how to make sure we have a proper inventory management system. So we're using people's skills in different ways. It doesn't have to be that you're physically going to give out, but you can use your innate skills to support the CSR initiatives.
True. And I love Natasha's comment here. You feel more energized after a good CSR event. You can go back to your desk and power through. And it's true. It really is true. Yeah. I mean, unless it's a beach cleanup, you're definitely not going anywhere after that but your bed.
No, you mash up.
Actually, you go to a shower. You go
to
the shower first and then. Amoy says they actually feel more invested and motivated. It is true. It is true. So more companies should actually be looking at these types of initiatives, corporate social, call it what you want, volunteerism, corporate social responsibility. Just do something. Do something. Communities that you operate, especially.
I want to
do we
share
have any
something.
Questions? Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I just want to share something. I was speaking to a friend of mine who said her daughter was doing CXC and just, when COVID hit, and she felt like she was just sleeping all the time, but she claimed she wasn't depressed. And then she spoke with her, and her daughter burst out in tears, and she said, I'm just worried that you guys will catch it, you'll die. You know what I mean? And I think we don't realize how many people and how our kids are struggling during this time. And we can use just figuring out how to support people and give back in different ways is really important, So we need to be thinking.
Yeah, that's very true. Thank you for that, Caroline. Everybody here, talk about it. Caroline, you stumped me with that one. That's a good stump. I literally feel like going downstairs and hugging my nieces right now.
There you go.
All right. So we spoke earlier about the lecture series, which actually took place this morning. Can you tell us a little bit about the series and this morning's lecture? What are your expected outcomes? Is there anything that I as an individual can get involved in? What's next? Or what's it?
Yeah, sure. So the lecture series is this is our 32nd lecture. And we pick topics that we think will be are just, important for the Jamaican public to learn about. So last year it was focused on the Kingston Harbour. We looked at technology. The year before, Paris Leo, I did that. One of my favorite lectures was done by Professor Michael Taylor, which is Why Climate Demands Change. It's an excellent resource book. And we produce a book, by the way, for every lecture. So there's a resource that students can download and persons can download for
That's
free
online as well
on our website. Yeah, on the Grace Kennedy website. So it's so we're really just trying to foster debate and discourse on these topics. Even one that was done by Michael Abrams about 3 years ago was on humor, laughter and life. And it's, he was hysterical, but it was all about why laughter is important and why, So for this year's lecture, we focused on the SDGs, and it was done by Margaret Jones-Williams, who is a Jamaican, but based in Suriname. She works with the UNDP. And what we were just trying to do through the lecture was to let people know about the SDGs, why they're important, and what role we can each play in implementing the SDGs. COVID has hit. It's going to slow down the targets, going after those targets of no hunger and all, the 17 targets. But what can companies do? What can governments do? And most importantly, what can individuals do? And what we did leading up to the lecture was we actually had a competition called the Be the Change Challenge. And we targeted young people, students between 13 and 25, to talk about what SDGs are, why are the SDGs important to them. And that was a really cool thing, to see the responses. And so that's really what it was all about. Okay.
So for each of the lecture series, there is always an intended outcome of knowledge and awareness.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Sorry, I didn't answer that question.
No.
Yeah, exactly.
No.
Exactly.
Okay. All right. So what's next following the lecture series? What is next on Caroline's agenda?
Rest, sleep. Well, we need to finish up our scholarship program. I still have scholarships to issue for final year students, so that needs to get done. We actually are going to select our lecturer for next year this week because we start early. And then the big thing we're working on is developing a cause marketing strategy for our food bank. The way it started, because it kind of grew very quickly. So the way it started was we had our students going to high-low and asking people to contribute to the bank. And now what I'm trying to do is see how I can get the companies across the group and their customers to contribute to the bank. So that's what we're having meetings with all the companies to see how we can partner with them and how they can get involved in supporting the food bank. Because the truth is, they're hiring university graduates, and those university graduates are facing hunger right now. Those students are facing hunger. We need to address it. So.
Wow. Okay. So if anybody here wants to donate, what can they do?
Okie dokie. So we have a website called ccfoodbank.com, and you can go on that website and it will give you all the ways that you can donate. If you're overseas, we have a partnership with the American Friends of Jamaica, and you can donate and get a tax break if you're in the US. And we're actually going to try and set that up in the UK and Canada as well. But you can contribute that way. We also have a partnership with sampars.com where you can donate. For $50, you can buy a Grace barrel, Good Grace's barrel, which goes directly to support the students as well. So there are multiple ways.
I love that.
Yeah.
And $50 is not a lot of money. It's not.
A little bit of money.
Yeah, little bit of money. All right, I'm going to take a few questions from our audience. I believe Natasha was asking about partnering with organizations such as Rotary, who have well-oiled machine. Does the foundation actually partner?
We haven't in a while, but we have had partnerships with various organizations in the past. We've partnered with the Rotary organization already. We did a project with them where I think we upgraded a computer room at the Remand Center for girls on South Camp Road, but we haven't really had any partnerships lately. But yes, I think that's a really great suggestion, and I'm going to take it up.
I'm sure Natasha will take it up with you. All right, let's see if we have any more questions here. What's the most rewarding part of CSR for you, Caroline? That's a really good question.
Boy, I love working with my students. I love working. It's an absolute joy to see them flourish and do well, and to see them defy the odds. You know, because as I said, many are coming from very, very difficult circumstances, like heartbreaking. We are generally in tears at the end of shortlisting persons for our interviews, and to see them graduate, I kind of try and stay in there with them and say, look, it's tough now, but you're going to get through this and you're going to make it. And, and so I think I really enjoy that aspect of my job a lot.
Oh, okay. Is another question from Miss Ashley. Can persons volunteer with GK Foundation to give back?
Yes. We are kind of weird setup. So in other words, we have you can definitely help with the food bank for sure. Obviously, if we have beach cleanup, we love getting volunteers for that. But I don't think a lot of our activities are volunteer focused, if you know what I mean. You know what I mean? Yeah. So Grace and Staff, the Grace and Staff Foundation is always seeking volunteers. So, and so you can definitely, there are always ways to partner with Grace Kennedy, one form or another.
Okay, beautiful. All right, I think we are almost at the end. Let me see if there is one more question. Yes, Natasha said she will touch base with you.
Great.
She works with youth and environment for Rotary in Mobay. She's actually very passionate about what she does as well. Natasha and I connected some months ago, I believe, last year or sometime, and we've been working closely together. So she gets things done in Montego Bay. She actually set up recycling in a couple areas in Montego Bay. So really proud of the work that she's actually
doing. I'd like to know if there's anywhere in Montego Bay that collects shredded paper. If there's a location that collects it, so you can let me know, Natasha. I have other reasons.
Okay. All right. So, Caroline, thank you for being here. Any parting words for our viewers? And I guess, just what should they do next?
That's a good, well, first of all, they need to check out what the SDGs are and see how they can implement them in their own way. Yeah. Whatever is your passion, you need to go after it. I'm going to give my plug to the environmental side of things. I think that's a critical area that needs focus. We've got to save our country. We've got to clean up Kingston. We cannot let all those plastics and everything going into the harbor is just unacceptable. And so I really think if you can focus on environmental issues, you should. So that's my final couple of words there.
All right. Thank you so much, Caroline. I think actually Amoy had one question, but we briefly addressed that earlier. How do you measure the benefits of CSR? It is actually quite difficult to measure, but Caroline?
Well, I mean, just for you to know, what we have done is we have set up a monitoring and evaluation framework for all of our activities. And we actually do have measurements for everything and targets for what we want to achieve. I think as a company, as a group, that becomes a little more difficult. But I do think even if we pick certain areas to measure to start off with, I think that's the plan. And then we'll expand further over time.
Okay, beautiful. Natasha found the shredded paper.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right. What I'll do is I'll share that information with you after the show.
Thank you.
Once again, Caroline, thank you so much. I think our audience here learned quite a bit, not just about the work that GK Foundation does, but also the importance of it to any organization. We've spoken about, the fact that consumers are actually interested in knowing what foundations are doing or what companies are doing that will benefit the environment, communities that they operate in, and nation building. That is also very important. So thank you for being here,
Thank
and
you.
we will speak soon.
Definitely. Thank you so much, Shelley. And thanks to everybody for logging on. Appreciate it.
All right, guys, thank you so much for being here. Please remember to sign up for our newsletter, which is on our website. So make sure you log on so you can know when the next show will be. And you can also follow us on all the social media pages. All right. Corporate social responsibility. Be sure to include it in some way, shape, or form in your organization. If they actually don't have a program going yet, you can reach out to us. You can call us or you can email us, liveecho@gmail.com, and we'll be sure to help you out. All right. Thank you so much, guys. Have a good night.